More on Greece's referendum and, of course, the debt crisis. Let's go to Nikolas Katsimpras from the Hellenic American Leadership Council. The group is devoted to an effort to organize and advocate for the nation's Greek Americans. Welcome, Nikolas.
Thank you. Good afternoon from me from New York.
So there's been so much discussion about this referendum, and if that voters said no, and we saw a resounding 61% of the voters reject this referendum, that it's inevitable that Greece will be out of the eurozone. Will we see this happen?
First of all, it's important to understand what happened yesterday. Yesterday was a historical day for Greeks. It's one of those days that will be bookmarked in the history of Greeks for generations to come. They will remember what they did that day. In order to understand, though, what that meant, it's important to understand where Greeks are coming from and then what they actually voted on. The past several years, Greeks have been polarized. This polarization turned into, structured problems within the Greek state, which gave the basis for the crisis. Unfortunately, though, the EU complacency was immense. Especially the past 5 years, the handling of the EU made the whole debt become unsustainable. And not just that, it gave this crippling austerity for the Greek people to the point that you have toxic unemployment. We're talking about out of 3 Greeks being unemployed the past 5 years.
Nikolas, I understand that, and it's clear that many Greeks would agree with you as well. But moving forward, moving ahead, I want to know if it's inevitable that Greece will have to leave the eurozone.
So this is the million-dollar question, but at the same time, I don't think there's anyone who can give you a definite response to this. So the definite response, despite the financial analysis given by analysts all over Europe and here in the US for different percentages, for example, BBC said that that's an 80% happening. My biggest consideration about this question is about the big picture. The financial aspect, what's at stake here, is just one of those things. But you have a geopolitical aspect as well and a security aspect as well. So talking about Greece leaving the eurozone is only the financial element of something that's much bigger. The definite response to this is it will be a very long week. Actually, the road ahead of us, it will be very bumpy and winding. But the question here is to talk about the big picture of the problems here and not only about the financial ones. We're talking about security and domestic stability. And this is where the complacency of the EU and the Greek politicians comes at play.
So how important is this emergency summit tomorrow? Do you think the Greek leadership will have concrete proposals they're going to present to EU leaders? It sounds to me, from what the German chancellor said today, that the ball is in Greece's court. Depending on what Greece says, they will come up with a strategy.
So negotiations is a dance. You have this back and forth. I would say this became sort of like a dirty dance the past few months. The removal of the Minister of Finance, Mr. Varoufakis, is made because of this intention by Mr. Tsipras to actually progress. I think the basis of the negotiation now will be technical. I hope there will be some improvement. But then again, I really want to focus on something much bigger than just the financial aspect that's at stake. This is a political negotiation more so than a financial negotiation. We're talking about a country that is the gateway to Europe, next to a boiling Middle East, to a boiling North Africa. And this is why the consideration is immense, both by the US and both by the EU. And it's something that you don't hear analysts talking about.
Well, because this is a financial crisis. This is a country that's on the verge of financial collapse. It couldn't pay its loans. Exactly.
There is a complexity problem here that we need to understand how to approach it from a more holistic perspective. The financial aspect, which, don't get me wrong, unfortunately, us Greeks have a big say in what we did. We have a big complacency in this. But the EU and the handling of the EU and the IMF, and especially you can see this through Mr. Dominique Strauss-Kahn's report a week ago, and also with the IMF report, they have taken some accountability on this. But regardless, in order to understand what we should do going forward, we need to understand what's at stake on a bigger level. The financial problems can be only a fraction of our problems in the future if we neglect what's at stake on a geopolitical level.
And also, will it have global ramifications? What's going to happen to Spain, Italy, Portugal? All right, we'll leave it at that.